You're not lazy, you're just bored. You need to have a massive goal, something that scares you, something that pulls out the most audacious version of you. Because once that version of you is present, you are granted energy, you are granted momentum when you do finally start moving. And you're also granted the ability to go after the things that you want. People aren't lazy, they're just not excited. And in order to get excited, you need to do something that is challenging. I think as a society, we are over optimizing for productivity and under optimizing for passion, under optimizing for a reason to get out of bed that is more than just money. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people are pursuing money at the expense of their own freedom. And there is nothing more motivating than freedom. So when people are lazy, generally it's not because they don't want to go after their goals. It's because they're too comfortable. If you are in a job that you hate, if you are in a situation that is making you uncomfortable, there's no greater motivation for you than from that point to then go after the things you want. But the problem is a lot of people are just too comfortable. A lot of people who from the outside could be seen as lazy are just living in an environment that is not forcing them to grow. And the big thing is it doesn't have to feel comfortable. You just have to be brave. And if your life does not demand courage from you, if your circumstances do not require bravery from you, then naturally you're just going to be lazy. That audacity is not going to be summoned. I think audacity is important because a lot of the things, especially when you're starting out, when you have no results, you almost have to thrive off of and operate off of delusion. And so it's not a question of, am I worthy of this? It's more like, well, do you want it? Because if you want it, then get after it. Go for it. And you have to have that audacity. You have to have that level of delusion that, okay, I'm not where I want to be or I'm not who I need to be yet, but I'm still going to pursue this thing because I want it. And simply having that level of delusion, because that's what it is at the start. You don't have evidence, right? You don't have anything to back you up besides, here's this thing that I want, and I believe that I can do it. And then you nurture that belief. You nurture the idea that you can do it. That's half the battle. Beliefs, in my opinion, precede actions. Beliefs come before action. Believing you can do something will then inspire you to then take the actions towards it. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who can't believe they can do a lot of things. And in actual fact, they might actually be able to. But that inability to believe in themselves, that inability to believe in their own capabilities prevents them from trying to begin with. And that's where the audacity comes in. That's where you need the delusion in order to start. And look, there's nothing wrong with being self-aware and understanding your limits. Right? I know personally, I'm not 7 foot tall. I'm not 6'8". I'm not going to be playing in the NBA anytime soon. But it's understanding that, okay, within art, within business, I'm ultimately limited by my own perception of my limits. I can always become more skillful. I can always learn more. I can always move my body, move my entire life to an environment that would be conducive to success in those either areas. The other part of that is, if I have this skill and I'm not sharing it with other people, then I'm discounting my ability to impact the world. I'm making the world poorer as a result of my absence. If you have something of value, if you have a skill, if you have a talent, if you have a calling, if you find something fun that other people find difficult, you are making the world poorer as a result of your absence and you not gassing yourself up, not promoting yourself, not believing in your capabilities. So people aren't lazy. They're just bored. They don't have a North Star that excites them. And a lot of the time that excitement is really, you just need to pick something that scares you. Pick something that's going to force you to grow. For me, I'm always optimizing for, will I learn from this? Is this something that's outside of my comfort zone? Because ultimately, I know that if the more time that I spend outside my comfort zone, the more my comfort zone expands. And as your comfort zone expands, you then slowly take on more things that you can do over time that'll expand your comfort zone even further. Just in the beginning, it's so tough because your comfort zone is so small. And almost everything, it could be, saying hello to a stranger on the street. That is daunting in the beginning. I understand this because I'm an only child. I didn't have the social skills developed purely just by being around siblings. I didn't have that luxury, if you will. So as a teenager, I over-optimized for learning how to just speak to people. Learning how to speak to you one-on-one. Like, this is something that, a skill that I'm trying to cultivate now, is learning how to be super confident and comfortable on camera. And the beautiful thing about communication, the beautiful thing about learning, is that it never ends. And so for a long time, I've just committed myself to consistent learning. There's this quote, it's falsely attributed to Charles Darwin. Somebody else could have said it. But as I paraphrase this, just keep that in mind. It is not the most intelligent of the species that survives. It is not the strongest of the species that survives. It is the most adaptable of the species that survives. So our ability to continue to improve, our ability to continue to pivot, is way more important than what messaging is being sent to us from the external. Because at the end of the day, even in school now, some of the teachers are teaching the things that they learned 10, 15, 20 years ago. And if you think about the amount of change that has gone through in society for the last 10, 15, 20 years, then you know firsthand that a lot of the stuff that they're going to teach you is just outdated. Or it's behind the eight ball. It might have been relevant a few years ago. But today, with how fast things are moving, the most important thing that I think we can teach, most important thing that we can do for ourselves, is understand that the skill is becoming adaptable. The skill is picking something that excites us. Because if we pick something that excites us, we're never going to be lazy. We're always going to be getting things done. So pick a massive North Star and get after it. Because as things change, you may find that your North Star stays the same. But sometimes you've got to be flexible with the method. You've got to be flexible with the route. It's like if you're climbing a massive mountain, there's a lot of ways up the mountain. You can see the peak at all times, but there's a lot of ways up that mountain. And if that's the mountain you want to climb, there's a lot of ways to get it done. So we're flexible in the way that we go on our journey. But we still have this North Star. We still have this clarity around the direction that we are going. Because ultimately, direction is more important than speed. You could be going fast nowhere. If you don't know where you're going, what are you doing? So that's where we begin. With a clear goal, a clear destination, even a clear journey. Because I think over time, my opinion has definitely changed on this. I think the journey is everything. So rather than here is this goal that I want to hit, it's more about what is this system that I want to focus on every day? Because I know if I focus on the inputs of the system daily, then the end results will take care of themselves. And by optimizing for a system, I'm not lazy, I'm not bored. I'm focusing on making that system better and better each day. Talk to you soon. See you on the next one.